A black bear was seen swimming at the Florida beach. One Florida community is quarantined because of giant African snails. A Florida man was arrested while drinking Floridaman Beer. And the police are shutting down Meth Island. These are the weird stories for Friday on Weird AF News. They are all from one state, and one state only, and that is Florida. Because on Friday on Weird AF News, we only do weird news from Florida. Florida Friday! Florida Friday! Let's go! A black bear is seen swimming among crowded Florida beachgoers. This story is out of Destin, Florida. An unusual black bear sighting awed throngs of beachgoers in Florida. But the state wildlife experts said that bear cubs can sometimes take a swim in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, they just take a swim. It's totally normal, guys. Nothing to see here, just a black bear in a very warm beach climate. A crowd of Florida vacationers in Destin were shocked and delighted to see a black bear. They were delighted. Oh, there comes a bear. Let's get a photo for the gram. Hey, maybe he can put on some SPF on my hard-to-reach places. Oh, the claws feel good. So they spotted this. It's a black bear cub, by the way, and it was casually taking a dip in the Gulf. Apparently this is normal. While the bear was swimming in the ocean, a woman can be heard off camera saying, I guess he's on vacation too. I love how they just are so casual about a bear swimming at the beach and running around the sand dunes. I mean, I would lose my mind. Now, according to the Florida Wildlife Conservation, these cubs can be sometimes seen in the Gulf, trying to find food on certain islands. Very impressive. Here's a quote from the FWC. While it is unusual to see a bear swimming in the shallows of a crowded beach, it isn't very unusual to hear of bears swimming in the Gulf on their way to the barrier islands in search for foods. During this time of year, the juvenile bears, such as the one seen in Destin, are starting to leave their mother's home range and may be seen in unexpected areas as they try to find a new home for themselves. Typically, these bears will move away on their own. If you see a bear, give it some space, don't approach it. Never feed it. Don't offer your drugs either, all right? That cocaine bear thing, that is fictional, man. Now, a Captain Chris Kirby is a lifelong Sunshine State resident, very proud. He said bears have been spotted swimming around in the bay, and they're common sights throughout Destin, particularly near the Eglin Air Force Base. Here's a quote from Captain Kirby. Well, I seen two swimming in the bay, two bears. I seen them. All right. I know what I'm seeing. I operate a charter boat. And that's 30 years I've been doing that. It's a long time. I've been seeing bears the whole time I've been chartering boats. They're not uncommon. I've heard stories of bears swimming around in other places as well, I can see people being curious, but, it's a bear, man. It's a bear, man. According to the Wildlife Commission, bears are surprisingly found all throughout Florida, though the animals need forested areas with dense cover and plenty of seasonal foods such as fruits, vegetations, acorns, and nuts. Makes you wonder why they're in Florida. It's not a lot of, well, there's fruits, yeah. There's not a lot of dense cover in forested areas, though, from my understanding. It's a lot of swamplands, a lot of swamp people. And, if those swamp people come across the bear, you can't put it past them to catch it and eat it. A Florida county is under quarantine because of a giant invasive snail. Oh, my goodness. The wildlife in Florida just surprises me. You got bears, giant snails, iguanas, crocodiles, pythons, sharks. Seems so safe. Hey, if you guys want to put your house up for sale in Florida, I don't blame you. It says here a portion of a Florida county has been placed under quarantine as state officials work to get rid of a giant African land snail, according to the Florida Department of Agriculture. Imagine being quarantined because of snails. Don't leave your house. The snails are going to get you. They look pretty big, though. It's the biggest snail I've ever seen. They look delicious. Are they dangerous to people? Let's keep reading here. The quarantine comes weeks after state officials found the snail in the Miramar area of Broward County, Florida. This is called the giant African land snail. How the hell did a giant African land snail get to Florida? Someone was smuggling drugs from Africa. Oh, snail. There's a snail in the cocaine. That's how it happens, guys. Now, I'm not quite sure the snail is dangerous for humans, but it says here it's very detrimental to agriculture. This giant African land snail is known to eat at least 500 different plant species that are deemed economically important, including breadfruit, cassava, cocoa, papaya, peanut, rubber, most varieties of beans, peas, cucumbers, melons, and plants of horticultural, cultural, and medicinal value. My goodness, this thing eats everything. Oh, thank God, though, it doesn't eat my marijuana plants. Oh, my weed plants are safe. Oh, yeah, my jazz cabbage is fine. My devil's lettuce is going to be okay. We ain't afraid of the giant African land snails. Under the quarantine rule, let's find out what's going on under the quarantine rule. It is illegal for people to move the giant African land snail from the impacted area without an agreement in place. Oh, so the quarantine is more for the snail than the people. Another rule is that the residents are not allowed to remove affected plants, soil, yard waste, debris, compost, or building materials from the quarantine area, according to the Florida Department of Agriculture. All right, so there's other restrictions. It doesn't say anything about eating them, though. Guys, snails are delicious. Let's get down to eating. State officials will use a pesticide to treat the area. That's another reason to stay in your home, I guess. Although Floridians are on so many drugs, I don't think a pesticide is going to have much of an effect. They're wasted, bro. Driving under the influence of alcohol? No, driving under the influence of pesticides. Yeah, no, that's okay. Move along. Also says here, Florida officials have contended with the giant African land snail before, and in the past referred to it as, quote, one of the most damaging mollusk subtypes in the world. This snail is unusually large, growing to be as long as 8 inches as an adult, and can procreate in enormous quantities as it lays thousands upon thousands of eggs at a time. It poses significant threats to the vegetations, as well as paint and stucco. Oh, the snail just going to eat the paint off your tent. I mean, a lot of people living in tents down there. Oh, in the second article, it says here that the snails also pose a serious health risk for humans as they carry a parasite called rat lungworm. Rat lungworm. Oh, that sounds horrible. Apparently, it can cause meningitis. Rat lungworm. Oh, just another thing to worry about in Florida. Can you imagine dying from something called rat lungworm? I mean, I would rather catch a flesh-eating bacteria after being bit by a relative at my birthday party. I'm referring to last week's Florida Friday. I think I'm in Florida, 'cause my skin's acting up. I think I'm in Florida. Somebody help! Yay! A Florida man is arrested while drinking Floridaman Beer. How are you going to arrest a Florida man for drinking Floridaman Beer? He's just supporting his brand, man. Let him be. What else is a Florida man going to drink? Floridaman Beer. Sounds to me like we have a possible sponsor for Weird AF News, guys. Floridaman Beer. A drunk Florida man in Seminole was found drinking a can of Florida Man branded beer when he was arrested for disorderly conduct on Tuesday. Ain't it bizarre in Florida where you can be arrested for drinking a can of Florida Man beer but not waving around your AR-15 at the bus stop? Sounds so bizarre down there. I don't know what those lawmakers are up to. I think they're on the salts from the bath. Now, according to the arrest report, Florida man Seth Thomas, star of our story, age 39, was arrested for, quote, yelling at traffic while walking in the roadway in front of traffic and refusing to stop. Are you sure he wasn't just shooting a video commercial for Floridaman Beer? This sounds like the way to do it. Just a dude shotgunning a beer while screaming at traffic in the middle of the road, and then Floridaman Beer. Totally on brand. I don't know if anybody who represents Floridaman Beer listens to this podcast, but I could write a ton of commercials for you. We could totally get on board with doing a collaboration. I'd be into it. You get, a guy at the beach taking a selfie, him and a bear, both of them pounding the Floridaman Beer. Floridaman Beer, official beer of the Gulf. Just go on and on with Floridaman Beer. Floridaman Beer, it does exactly what it says on the can. Floridaman Beer, 8.5% alcohol by volume, or also known as the blood alcohol level of a Florida man. It says on the can it's brewed with, quote, a crazy amount of hops. That'll make you do some stuff at Walmart. It says here, Floridaman Beer, founded in 2007, Cigar City Brewery has garnered a cult following for its snappily named beers, including Theoretical Jam, Cosmic Crown, Fancy Papers. In 2022, the brewery was bought out by Monster Beverages' parent company, and they made Floridaman Beer, a Florida-themed beer. They humorously write about the beer. The world needs heroes, and in our home state of Florida, only a very special hero will do. A hero with a shark tooth around his neck, a Grim Reaper tattoo on his arm, and a rap sheet longer than his mama's mustache. What better way to pay tribute to our beloved Florida man than with a big old double India Pale Ale brewed with a nearly criminal amount of hops? I love their sense of humor here. I really would love to have this as my sponsor, at least for the Florida Friday episodes. This beer is wonderful, and it's probably great to pair with some late-night criminal antics. You know what I'm saying? Florida Beer isn't responsible if you take out your wang in the middle of a Walmart. Want to create a podcast? Spotify's platform lets you easily make, record, and distribute a podcast everywhere, even earn money all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. Record and edit on your phone or your computer, distribute it to Spotify and everywhere podcasts are heard. They even have video podcasting options. Spotify for Podcasters allows you to earn money with ads and subscriptions as well. Best of all, as I said, free. Try it. Download Spotify for Podcasters or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started. And good luck with your podcast. Good luck with your life, man. Florida squatters create a meth island. Ooh, Meth Island. Must be where the Nazis live between protests. Meth Island. Sounds like a great new resort. Better lines than Disney. Hey, better lines than Disney. Come on, guys. You get A1 material on the Florida Friday episode. It says here, one group of Florida residents found a way around those pesky, skyrocketing housing prices. They created their own little Florida village. Now, some locals refer to it as Meth Island. Others simply call it a downright nuisance. Now, Meth Island is actually one of several officially uninhabited islands in the area of Port Orange, Florida, just south of Daytona. It's actually pretty impressive, according to witnesses. But when you don't sleep for days, you have lots of time to do some things. This makeshift village/island has its own welcome center. Welcome center where they pass out a crack pipe. There's a 4-story tree house with living quarters. That sounds amazing. A tree house? Oh, man, I'm not going to lie. As a kid, I wanted to build a giant meth fort. I thought that'd be a great way to spend my adulthood. Hey, guys, come into my meth fort. Apparently, it says here at one time they had their own Airbnb with a room that you could rent for $10 a night on Meth Island in a tree house. That sounds amazing. I would totally be into that. Yeah, just lounge on the island, do some drugs, eat some iguana kebabs, and hang out with the bears for $10 a night. It says here, this is way beyond any squatter camp anyone has ever seen in Southwest Florida. It's well over a year's worth of crafting and formulation. Finally, though, the South Daytona Police Department is shutting down Meth Island. On their Twitter and Facebook, they posted photos of the new trespass notices that they've placed on several of the islands, which are all near some sort of bridge. Under the bridge in Florida, I hung out on a meth trampoline. It looks like they were planning an expansion to the island, which is why the police stepped in. What did they apply with the local construction organization? The police think they were trying to build a 5th floor to the treehouse and remodeled the welcome center. They were going to do an addition to the meth lab, too, I'd imagine. What the hell, man? I can't make this up. Local police are having none of this, though. They moved right in, shut down Meth Island, decommissioned the orgy fort, I'd imagine. Says here, the idea of a homeless camp on an island is nothing new. Miami has been toying with the idea of doing just that. Last summer, they were talking about building 50 to 100 tiny homes for the homeless on Virginia Key, which is an 863-acre barrier island. That actually doesn't sound like such a bad idea. I mean, of all the places they could build a tiny home for you if you're homeless on an island, it's amazing. But we're going to have to say goodbye to Meth Island, which is it's unfortunate. But this gives me an idea for a Survivor-type reality game show. I mean, Meth Island. Can you survive Meth Island? This is wonderful, man. Off the Florida Keys, there's a place called Meth Isle. That's where you wanna go to smoke a bowl and a smile. Doesn't make sense. Yay! Oh, we did it, guys. Another Florida Friday episode in the books. And I have to thank all of you who sent me Florida articles the last few days. Very, very helpful. I appreciate that. You can always send me stuff to my email, funnyjones@gmail.com. You can slide them into my Instagram DMs @funnyjones as well. If you want to call the show, the number 646-450-2012. I hope you're having a nice weekend, or you had one, or you're about to have one. I hope you're drinking some Floridaman beer while avoiding the authorities. Yes, and if anybody is good at securing advertisers for podcasts, I don't know if any of you know about doing that. I'm not so great at it myself, but I would love to have Floridaman Beer as a sponsor. So if anyone knows anybody over there at the beer company, or anyone who works in advertising, link me up, hit me up, let me know. That would be really cool. Anyways, if you want to support the show in other ways, just tell a friend that you're hanging out with, drinking Floridaman Beer with over the weekend. It's a good segue into talking about the Florida Friday episode. If you're already drinking Floridaman beer at a cookout or something, be like, hey, you guys know who talks about Floridaman every week? This guy. Sometimes it's even funny. Sometimes. And if you want to support the show with a little bit of ducats, those ducats, if you got some, you can buy Jonesy a coffee. Yeah. Go to weirdafnews.com, buy me a coffee, or join the Patreon. Yeah, the Patreon's the way to do it, because then you get extra Weird AF content that I put inside the Patreon once you join. So it's like buying me a cup of coffee every month, and then you get access to extra content that I put in there. It's a lot of weird stuff that I'm into that isn't really appropriate for the podcast. A lot of it is weird, crazy visual stories or videos that I come across, and sometimes it's a video of me. So that's, if you want some more of me, you probably don't. You've had enough. But anyways, check out the Patreon. You can download the app too, Patreon, and then do a search for Weird AF News. Anyways, I appreciate your support, your loyal listenership. I'm very grateful, and I hope you're having a great weekend. And good luck with your life, man.